This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a special report on a Monday. We are currently awaiting President Joe Biden's speech. A press conference from the G7 summit taking place in the EU right now. The Foreign Press Corps looking on as President Biden prepares to come out and give us a little press conference. Knowing Joe Biden the way I do, a press conference with the Foreign Press Corps should be a hell of a lot of fun. So that's why we are here. We're carrying it live. The press corps has been waiting on him for a good 20 fucking minutes now. So if I had to guess, the press conference is actually going to take place at the top of the hour. So we're just going to sit here and watch these old fucks. Hey, Warlord, I try to do special reports every chance I can get. I like to stream the news. During the summer, there's not a lot of shit to cover. So, I expect we'll be going live more often during the fall as we get more hearings to cover. More politics get going come this fall as the 2022 election really ramps up. So this is a live shot from PBS from the G7 summit, where President Biden currently meeting with world leaders. I think that wraps up today. That was the conference was this weekend. I know Biden is off to Geneva to meet with President Putin later this week, which also should be a fun time. Biden will not be giving a joint press conference afterwards. I think that's already been announced. It's going to be a solo press conference with just Joe Biden following the meeting with President Putin. Oh, so the G7 has wrapped up. It wrapped up yesterday. It's evening time over across the pond, too. This is like a post-dinner press conference. Mid-afternoon here in the States. Well, I'm sorry. Still morning for our friends over California way. It's almost 8 o'clock in England, according to Warlord. If I did my math of army time correctly. Or at least we call it army time here in America. I don't know what you guys call it. The 24-hour. Yes. Is that also what it's called there? Oh, yeah, you guys got an army too, so. Makes sense. I'm not high enough for this shit. I haven't even been up that long. I just got up and like, oh, Biden's giving a press conference. Well, I guess we'll cover it. Still drinking my morning tea. I was up until like 5 o'clock playing Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So we're about 9 minutes from the top of the hour. Hopefully, I don't trust that Biden is going to be prompt on this. I don't even know when the press conference was scheduled for. The press is all in place. They've been in place for at least 20, 30 minutes. Maybe Biden is finishing up his pudding. Apparently everything in Britain is called pudding. Sausages are puddings. Makes no sense to any of us over here in America. People and your sausage puddings. Okay. We're 24 hour, yeah. Happy freaking Monday! President Biden gracing us with a press conference for our freaking Monday. Don't even get me started on measurements. We should absolutely be on the metric system here in America, goddamn. Apparently the reason we have not switched to the metric system is like old studs and buildings. It doesn't make any sense to me why that would be an issue, but apparently that's the reason why builders in this country do not want to switch to the metric system. Like refitting old houses and buildings. I have no clue what that means. No clue at all what 4 pints of milk being 20 centimeters tall means. The press is looking like they're getting a little restless here. Oh, she's got a microphone. What's she saying? Oh, she's just giving a stand up to her whatever organization she's with. That's a very good point. Gas amounts seem lower under the metric system. And you go farther on a gallon of gas in kilometers as opposed to miles. Everything's just better under the metric system. Feet, yards, what the fuck is that shit? You tell somebody 100 yards, they don't fucking know. You have to, oh, it's a football field. Oh, okay, that's the frame of reference. Nobody knows what a fucking yard is. Okay, so I've got the British guy saying feet is easy. Just look at your feet. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Sparkles wanted me to try on her Crocs the other day. She was bragging about how awesome Crocs are. I put her Crocs on. I'm like, goddamn, you've got little feet. They did not fit on my big ass feet. So we're about 3 minutes and some change from the top of the hour. Hopefully that's when Biden will walk out and grace us with his presence from the G7 conference. Wrapping up the G7 conference before he heads on over to Geneva to meet with President Putin of Russia. So we should get about an hour of comic relief here from Biden with the foreign press pool. You ain't Biden. Get the fuck off the stage, dude. Oh yeah, I'm not high enough for this shit, I said as I grabbed a bong and then sat it down without hitting it. Very rarely on this stream do you encounter this, but I am completely 100% sober at this moment. Because I just woke up not that long ago. I say not that long ago, it was like 3 or 4 hours ago. But this is my morning bong. My morning cup of tea. Vanilla honey chamomile, I believe is what this tea is. I love coffee, but the doctors tell me I can't have it. What, Medvedev is the president, or is Putin the president? They keep doing this switch right now in order to avoid the constitutional limits. Putin is the president again, right? Or is he the prime minister? I would need to brush up on that. Medvedev is his successor, as I understand it, but I believe there was some friction between them last time it came up for them to do whatever the fucking little switcheroo they do in order to keep Putin in power. I assume it will be another person in the vein of a KGB agent. I think Medvedev had the connections to the KGB. Once again, as I talk about foreign affairs, that's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is U.S. electoral politics. So, in talking about Russia, I am talking out of my ass. Please know that. I probably know more than the average American about it, but that's a very, very, very low bar. Very, very low bar. Like the other day when we had the picture of the presidents of the G7. Like, I was able to name 5 of them just off the top of my head. The other 2, I did not know. I didn't say that on stream. I could probably tell you the country they were from. As I'm pretty sure I can name the 7 countries in the G7. It does look like they are preparing for Biden imminently. It is the top of the hour now. 3 o'clock Eastern time. It seems like a really good time for it. If his goal is to make it on the 5 o'clock news in America, having a press conference at 3 o'clock is exactly what you want to do. I mean, that's a communication strategy. You hold the press conference at 3 o'clock. They're going to have probably going to lead off their news coverage with a snippet, and then, play a section of the press conference in the C block. If they didn't have something already planned. This also is just in time for him to be able to make it onto all the commentary shows on Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, your Wolf Blitzers, your Rachel Maddows, all that good shit. So, great time strategically to hold a press conference for an American audience. As Warlord told us, it's about 8 o'clock over across the pond. Now, when Trump used to do this, Trump was literally waiting off stage for 20, 30, 40 minutes, making people wait. As like this fucking madman, when Rick and Morty are walking down the ramp when they're in the inside the car battery. It's like, the slow ramp really gets their dick hard, Morty. That's what Trump did constantly. Really got the MAGA's dicks hard, waiting for Trump. Now, Biden, on the other hand, I bet he's just like talking his ass off with somebody in the back. Because that's the kind of guy Biden is. He's very charismatic, likes to talk it up with people. So, President Biden expected any moment now. Wrapping up the G7 summit. I was rushing to throw clothes on to make sure that I was able to carry this press conference, and now we've been sitting here for what? 20 minutes and 40 seconds waiting for Biden to walk out. And the press pool that is there in person has been sitting there even longer. So I guess while we still have some time, I will plug what is coming up on the big show later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about the madman that drove his car into a group of protesters protesting the death of Winston Smith in Minneapolis. Graphic fucking footage shared of the aftermath. The protesters actually held him there for the cops. You know, that's not a bad idea. Make this a hot tub channel. I don't have a hot tub, though. I'd have to take you guys into my bathroom and fill up the bathtub. My apologies, that was not me. I did not do that. And I'm definitely not high enough for this shit. I've thought about it a few different... God damn! What in the fuck, PBS? There's any streamers out there just sitting here watching our stream, talking over it, we're gonna fuck with them. I actually have it set up for me to be able to broadcast out on my back patio there. When I get... We have really bad storms where I'm at, and power surges are a very common thing, so I don't like to have my computer on when there are storms. So if you see me not on during my normal time, that's usually it. I'm hiding from tornadoes where I'm at. I don't want to risk harming my computer in an electrical storm. But I've tested it out. It works quite nicely. Next time there is a storm during my normal time period, I'm going to flip. I'm going to go into my bedroom and be on my laptop and broadcast from my patio, because that's really fucking cool. And you'll be able to, like, see the lightning behind me and everything. So, neato! Now, I will be limited as to what I can do, because I won't be sitting behind, you know, this badass computer with all these monitors and everything. I can still take calls, though. I can still play videos. And hey, we may one night. If it'll get me more viewers, fucking hey, I'll take my laptop in there. I'll hop in the bathtub. We'll do a stream from the fucking bathtub if you want to. I guess I'm a shill now. You guys want me in the bathtub? I'll get in the bathtub. 7 minutes after the top of the hour, we have still yet to see Joe Biden. I swear to you, I am not lying. Biden to hold press conference in Europe from PBS. They've been... Oh, God, the press has been sitting there for an hour and 15 minutes. So PBS went live about an hour ago. And the press was sitting there an hour ago. Holy shit. Well, damn. See if we can get a time on this. Maybe we're getting close. Somebody's coming and putting hashtag freaking plus hot tub. As I said, I don't have a hot tub. I'd have to take you guys into the bathroom and hop into the bathtub. But if you want it, we'll do it. I guess now's as good as time as any to announce my next big special coming up on July 4th, Sunday, July 4th. We're going to be watching Birth of a Nation. I guess we'll do that at the normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, that the Troll Patrol comes on. I'm going to have a guest with me. I tried to get Sparkles to do it, but she's totally against the racism. She doesn't want to watch it. So we'll get Media Wits to come on with us, or we'll get Historian Matt from Echoplex. Historian Matt may want to watch some Birth of a Nation with us. Sunday, July 4th. Woodrow Wilson's favorite movie. He screened it in the White House while he was president. Now, it is a milestone in cinema, and we'll talk about the impact it has on the history, but like it is 100% a Ku Klux Klan propaganda and recruitment piece. And we'll tie that into, critical race theory and all that good shit we've been talking about here on the show. July 4th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Birth of a Nation here on the Troll Patrol Live. I'll get somebody to join me. I don't know who yet. So that should be a lot of fun. Coming up on what we call Independence Day here in the U.S. Of course, Juneteenth is a lot closer to Independence Day in the U.S. That coming up this week. Old Gord's probably in prison, dude. Old Gord was at the Capitol, man. How many times do I have to tell you that? No one's heard from Old Gord in a couple of months because he is probably in handcuffs somewhere, awaiting trial. It would be kind of fun to have Old Gord come on here and tell us, the virtues of the movie Birth of a Nation. Of course, Birth of a Nation, a film made not long after the turn of the century. I think Biden was a ticket taker at the movie theater when they first. He's not that old. I'm making a joke. Sorry, it was horrible. Biden's not that old. Close to it. Feels like we've been waiting a century for Biden to walk out and give us a press conference. But this should be a lot of fun. I believe this is Biden's first instance with the foreign press pool as president. Probably going to be more friendly to him than the American press, to be honest with you. Especially coming off of Trump. By the way, it's really weird to have heard all the right-wingers talk about how respected we were as a country under Trump. how nobody respects us anymore under Biden. And then to hear all the presidents of other countries at the G7 talking about how America's back and praising Biden, and then right-wingers are losing their minds over it. Apparently, French President Macron told the press that Biden was part of the club or something like that. I don't know what the exact quote is, and once again, like, there's translation issues between French and English. So I'm assuming, I think I saw this on Fox News, I'm assuming Fox News is blowing it out of proportion, as always. Also, if you're interested in the lab leak theory, Rebecca Watson, who does fantastic science YouTube videos, skeptical YouTube videos, she has a video on the lab leak theory, breaking everything down. Go give her a watch. That video was incredibly informative. Because one of the things that we run into right now is, especially with the right-wing media, is they're losing their minds talking about, like, oh, they've covered up the lab leak theory. We can't talk about the lab leak theory, blah, 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 blah. But, like, there is zero evidence to support it. There's some circumstantial evidence, but there is zero scientific evidence to support it. Actually, the scientific evidence says the opposite. And it's also funny to me that these people that were claiming, oh, we were right all along, Trump was right all along. No, motherfuckers, you said it was a bioweapon that they engineered to release on the U.S. to shut down our economy. That's what you said originally. Weren't right all along. So, wow, another quarter hour has passed, and we have yet to see Joe Biden show up. Adam, I'm not far behind you, man. I just got up a few hours ago. As I said earlier, I was up until about 5 a.m. playing Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. They hit me with a PS5 version of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, so I'm like, I gotta play it. Not a goddamn thing, Warlord. Fucking, he still is yet to walk out. As I pointed out just a little bit ago, the press has actually been sitting there for 1 hour and 30 minutes now, waiting for Joe Biden to come out and grace us with his presence. Now, knowing Joe Biden the way I do, I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fun. Catwoman. I played some Injustice 2 last night with a buddy. I can't get the hang of Catwoman. Oh, always pit the Catwoman. Ooh, that's a good idea. Well, first of all, like, anyone who's watching in America, it may be too early for them, especially like Adam Rainstopper and I just got the fuck out of bed. Warlord, it's fucking nighttime over there, and he's like, oh, let's play a drinking game. Ha ha! Which Catwoman, though? There are multiple iterations, and especially, like, I'm not a comic book person, and playing Injustice, like, oh shit, I didn't realize there's this many different iterations of the characters, and then some of the characters in Injustice were made just for Injustice. Not the characters, but they're like, you know, that iteration of the character was made just for Injustice. Really, I'm not a comic book guy. I've watched a few of the movies. Oh, okay. Michelle Pfeiffer. Or Halle Berry. Apparently she did not like her performance as Catwoman. I've never seen that movie. I mean, as if Biden's going to do anything that affects it. Like, we've got Elon Musk over here just fucking... His tweets will send Bitcoin soaring or crash it. You want to talk about somebody saying something affecting the stock market? Oh, you ain't got the power to give me links over here, Adam. You ain't a mod on this channel, sir. Coming over here trying to sling your dick around. If somebody's not weird, I don't want to be around them. I almost said sleep with. I tend to sleep with people that are incredibly weird. My girlfriend in college, apparently she came over and sat down next to me in the class we had together just because, like, well, he looks interesting. At least that's what she told me. That's what a dude asked me why I painted my fingernails. I'm like, it's like a signal to the weirdos when I'm out and about. You know how many like women come up like, hey, you look like somebody I want to hang out with. Just because like I don't give in to your toxic masculinity. And I go out and I look cool. Motherfuckers. I guess if you want to call this looking cool. You're like a freak. You know, I've never met a girl at a show before. That is not something that's happened to me. As many concerts as I've fucking been to, I do not have any. Which, granted, one, I'm a concert head to begin with. So, like, I'm really into the music. Like, some girl could come up and hit on me, and I'm like, fucking get off me. I'm paying attention to the band. Sounds sus, you say? Well, I'm also usually out of my fucking mind. Like last time I saw Pussifer, I went into the bathroom and snorted a line of MDMA. I came back out, I'm standing in the merchandise line. I'm like... I go to shows by myself as well. It trips people out, I think, that I drove 9 hours to go to Ohio to see Radiohead. See, when I find myself hooking up with people after shows, it shows where I'm a performer. That's where I tend to hook up with people. Because when you look like this, people don't tend to give you a lot of... They don't give you the time of day, but when you can get on stage and you've got some talent and everything, give us Biden, give us Biden. Seriously, the press has been waiting over an hour and a half now at this moment. See, well that's so you guys were at the show, but you were both working. You were co-workers at that event.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Give me a thumbs up if everything's good. Mic check 1 2.
Dude, everything's good other than the fact that these motherfuckers have waited 2 hours now. Well, hey, it's not like I'm not going to give you a stream tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Or we're going to talk about all kinds of shit. The Gathering of the Juggalos. I'm not against it. And they did just recently announce that the Gathering of the Juggalos is going to take place this year. They're having it in into July or beginning of August or something, aren't they? I think I saw the announcement for it. Like, I've been to the campgrounds at Talladega, so I think I could handle myself at a gathering of the Juggalos. Any minute now, Joe Biden will be addressing us at the end of the G7 summit from Europe before he heads off to Geneva, also in Europe, to meet with... I said he was in Europe right now, but just because, like, I think he's in England, but I'm not real sure. I have not kept up with what the fuck is going on. I don't even know where the G7 was this year. Paid no attention to it whatsoever. And I'm supposed to be a newsman. I think he's in England now. I think England hosted this motherfucker. Also, I'm not good with geography, as everybody had. If you watch Friday's show, Sparkles exposed the fact that I thought Georgia was landlocked until just a couple years ago. I thought South Carolina came down and met Florida. Apparently, that's not fucking true. Like, Georgia's ass sticks out between South Carolina and Florida and touches the ocean where Savannah is. I am one for variety, by the way. However, Sparkles, for some reason, wanted to go to the same restaurant that we ate at the previous week and get the same sushi that I ordered the previous week that she didn't even want me to order to begin with. She's like, no, we've got the calamari. We got the crab rangoons. We don't need that sushi. No. She's like, oh, that pink dragon was so good. I'm confused as what your question means, Rexit. I'm always confused when leader of the free world says I'm in trouble if I ask a question. I don't know what you're referring to. Apparently Biden had some kind of gaffe where he said, like, he'd get in trouble with his staff or something. Is that the phrase you're referring to? I don't, if you're new to the stream, I'm like a C-SPAN junkie, so I don't know a lot of the tangential, the things that are going on tangentially around the president. Oh, they're at Brussels. Okay, they're in Brussels today. They've left the G7 in England. This is actually the start of a NATO summit then. I could have sworn it just says holds press conference in Europe. I was the one that added the G7 to that. My apologies. And I'm supposed to be the newsman here. Once again, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII for the last few days and haven't really paid attention to what's going on. So G7, fuck. I'm in trouble if I ask? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I played a video of him last week. They were shouting a question at him and he popped his head back out and answered it. Like, he made a comment about how his staff would get upset with him. Well, yeah, well, that's just basic politics. Like, I'm a communications expert, right? I'm absolutely qualified to be the communications director at the White House, if you ask me. Other people might not say I'm qualified. But if I was the communications director at the White House, yes, I would be upset if Biden answered questions candidly, the way he is apt to do, without running it through me as the communications director, so that we're all on the same page in terms of messaging. So that's what he's saying when he's saying his staff will get upset with him. Because he's a very candid individual. He's going to talk off the cuff, just like Trump did. But at least most of what Biden says makes sense. Most. So still, we're here 45 minutes. I've been streaming an empty podium. We're supposed to have President Biden speaking from the NATO summit in Brussels. Momentarily, I am not high enough to sit here and watch an empty podium. That's for sure. Uh-oh. It looks like that would be Biden's notes. Looks like he is preparing to hit the podium. We may actually get a statement from Biden shortly. So allow me to go ahead and pack a bong. Funny you should mention 20. Remember I told you about doing the MDMA at the concert and like I was rubbing myself in the merchandise line? That was actually the weekend before the election. I had taken the Monday off from my job. I did MDMA the entire weekend. I woke up that Tuesday. That was election day. The world has not been the same since Donald Trump got elected that day. I'm still tripped out by that. I went on a Molly bender for a weekend. I woke up and Trump became president. Life has not been the same since. Well, I just explained it to you. The communications office has a specific messaging that they want to get across.
Before I turn to today,
finally, we do have Biden speaking.
Say a short word about our ongoing fight against COVID-19 at home.
I'm definitely not high enough for this.
Progress in the United States. Much of the country is returning to normal, and our economic growth is leading the world, and the number of cases and deaths are dropping dramatically. But there's still too many lives being lost.
Especially
In the
worldwide.
last 7 days, loss of 370 deaths per day. 370 deaths, that's significantly lower than at the peak of this crisis, but it's still a real tragedy. We're approaching a sad milestone. Almost 600,000
Oh yeah, it does say Brussels behind him.
because of COVID-19 in America. My heart goes out to all those who've lost a loved one. I know that black hole that seems to consume you, that fills up your chest.
Have you been to Belgium before, Warlord? I've always wanted to go.
That's why I continue to say to America, if you've not been vaccinated, get vaccinated. Get vaccinated as soon as possible. We have plenty vaccination, plenty of sites. We have more work to do.
Yes, if you have been waiting to get your vaccination until it actually calmed down, it has calmed down. Go get your vaccination now. They need you to.
Please get vaccinated as soon as possible. We've had enough pain. Enough pain.
Because we're at the point now that we're going to be wasting vaccines if you don't go get one.
It's after 9:30 Brussels time, 9:30 p.m., and I'm still at NATO. You're all excited about that, I know.
Well past Joe's bedtime.
But I've had a chance to meet with several leaders recently, and I've had calls with others. It's been an incredibly productive day here.
I don't know what you mean, don't buy that explanation.
Turkey.
That is the explanation. The communications office is in charge of communications. Of course, they would get upset if the president went off their message that they've carefully crafted.
On a number of issues.
And that's what he's just joking when he says that. He's like, oh, my staff will get mad at me. It's just a joke. I don't understand what you don't buy about that.
With Turkey and the United States. But now I want to thank Secretary General Stoltenberg for leading a very successful NATO summit today. I had the honor of leading off the discussion today among the 30 nations. And I pointed out that we're facing a once-in-a-century global health crisis. At the same time, the democratic values that undergird our alliance are under increasing pressure both internally and externally.
Dan Feinstein doesn't seem to think
Russia
so.
and China are both seeking to drive a wedge in our transatlantic solidarity. We're seeing an increase in malicious cyber activity. But our alliance is a strong foundation on which our collective security and our shared prosperity can continue to be built. And I
don't know what that pin is on his right lapel
Article
there.
5, the NATO treaty.
I guess it's a NATO pin.
Rock solid and unshakable. It's a sacred commitment. NATO stands together. That's how we've met every other threat in the past. It's our greatest strength as we meet our challenges of the future, and there are many. And everyone in that room today understood the shared appreciation, quite frankly, that America is back.
He's got a U.S. flag over here, but this one is like a blue square and some kind of yellow thing.
That's why
I thought it was an American flag too, because I thought he had one on each side, and I was like, that's odd.
Of this summit. And today I also met with the leaders of the 3 Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. I shared with our allies that what I'll convey to President Putin, that I'm not looking for conflict with Russia, but that we will respond if Russia continues its harmful activities.
A strong message on what?
To defend the transatlantic alliance or stand up for democratic values. As allies, we also affirmed our continued support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. We agreed to keep...
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about Mitch's comments about how he would not allow a vote on a Supreme Court justice. Of course we are.
Strong consensus in the room among the leaders in that meeting on Afghanistan.
Bitch McConnell.
Our troops are coming home, but we agreed that our diplomatic, economic, and humanitarian commitment...
Now, apparently the pullout is going swimmingly. It's going faster than what Biden had actually projected.
And I welcomed our allies and partners to recognize that
I'm a big fan of the pullout method.
Counterterrorism efforts must continue to ensure that Afghanistan never again becomes a safe haven for attacks on our countries, even as we take on terrorist networks in the Middle East and Africa. And I'm deeply gratified that as an alliance...
When he says taking on terrorist networks, is he talking about Saudi Arabia? He's not, is he?
Face today and in the future, not yesterday. The NATO 2030 agenda. And that we agreed to fully resource that agenda. The last time NATO put together a strategic plan...
I encourage everyone to pull out.
When Russia was considered a partner and China wasn't...
We're going to be Mad Maxing and Waterworlding up in this place.
We talked about the
not all that long from now.
Systemic challenges that China's activities pose to our collective security today. We agreed to do more to enhance the resilience of our critical infrastructures around the world, including trusted telecommunications providers, supply chains, and energy networks.
Hold on a second, I got cat one again.
Cooperation with our democratic partners in the Indo-Pacific to meet challenges that exist there. We also endorsed a new cyber defense policy, NATO's first in the past 7 years, to improve the collective ability to defend...
Smoke, you want to come in the house?
...from state and non-state actors against our networks and our critical infrastructure. And we adopted a climate security action plan, which several years ago people thought we never would do, for reducing emissions from NATO installations and adapting to the security risk of climate change while keeping a sharp...
That mic clip fucked with me there. Ow.
...defend against threats. And finally, we agreed that among the most important shared missions is renewing and strengthening the resilience of our democracies.
Tell that to Joe Manchin. Tell that to Kristen Sinema.
That democracy can still prevail against the challenges of our time and deliver for the needs of our people. We have to root out corruption that siphons off our strength guard against those who would stoke hatred and division for political gain is phony populism.
I think the For the People Act goes a long way in doing that.
Underpin and safeguard our cherished democratic values, as well as protecting the free press and independent judiciaries. All of those are on the agenda. That's how we'll prove that democracy and that our alliance can still prevail against the challenges of our time and deliver for the needs of our people.
We're going to see what Biden actually does about the press. The Obama administration postured as if they were friendly towards the press, but we know what they did about whistleblowers. We know what they did about subpoenas for news organizations.
Them being able to move more rapidly and successfully.
So I don't know that I'd trust Biden on that issue.
Democracies can. We all concluded we're going to prove them wrong. And now I'm happy to take some questions.
Yay, this is the fun part.
ABC.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening. You mentioned your sit down with Vladimir Putin and Russian aggression that came up in your conversations today. I'd like to ask you two questions, if I may, on that front. Is it your sense walking into this meeting that Americans back home shouldn't expect much in terms of an outcome? Could you provide some specifics?
I mean, I'm not expecting much of an outcome.
Look like to you? Are there going to be specific concessions you want Putin to make? And then I'll just give you my follow-up right now. You've met Vladimir Putin before. What have you learned about him that informs how you approach this sit-down with him? And what's your mindset walking into a meeting with a former KGB agent who you've said has no soul?
I'll tell you all that when it's over.
He is absolutely a sociopath. I will give him that.
The last thing anyone would do is negotiate in front of the world press as to how he's going to approach a critical meeting with another adversary and or someone who could be an adversary. It's the last thing I'm going to do. But I will tell you this. I'm going to make clear to President Putin that there are areas where we can cooperate if he chooses. And if he chooses not to cooperate and acts in a way that he has in the past relative to cybersecurity and some other activities, then we will respond. We will respond in kind. There need not be. We should decide where it's in our mutual interest, in the interest of the world, to cooperate and see if we can do that. And the areas where we don't agree, make it clear what the red lines are. I have met with him. He's bright. He's tough. And I have found
cagey.
that
Wily.
as they say when you used to play ball, a worthy adversary. But the fact is that I will be happy to talk with you when it's over, not before, about what the discussion will entail.
Is Reckett still in here? I want to know what kind of strong message he wants Biden to deliver.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also have two questions about Vladimir Putin. The first is, have any of the world leaders you've met with this week expressed concern that by meeting with President Putin this early in your presidency, that it'll look like you're rewarding him?
What's your second
What?
question?
The second question is what it will mean for the U.S.-Russia relationship if Alexei Navalny were to die or be killed in prison.
I'm glad you brought up Navalny, the opposition leader in Russia.
As a member of NATO that spoke today, and most of them mentioned it, thanked me for meeting with Putin now. Every single one that spoke. And I think there were probably about 10 or 12 that spoke to it, saying they were happy that I did that I was going to do that. And they thought it was thoroughly appropriate that I do. And I had discussions with them about
judging by the way his allies have reacted from the G7,
and what they thought
that's exactly what he did then.
not important. And so the interesting thing is, I know
There's even a clip where Biden is asked about, like, are the other world leaders happy about America being back or something? And Biden's like, ask him.
found a world leader
We'll play that clip tonight on the show at 8 p.m. Eastern.
just soon enough. Everyone that I've spoken to, privately and publicly, it doesn't mean there aren't some out there, but it's not likely that a head of state is going to stand up in front of 29 other heads of state and say, boy, I'm glad you're doing this, in effect. So there is a consensus. And they thanked me for being willing to talk with them about the meeting and what I intended to do. So I haven't found any reluctance. There may be someone, but not in open today or in the meetings I privately had as well. And Navalny's death would be another indication that Russia has little or no intention of
As if his imprisonment isn't?
basic fundamental human rights. It would be
I'm pretty sure his imprisonment was meant to lead to his death.
his relationships with the rest of the world, in my view, and with me. Jeff Zelny, CNN.
Sir, good evening. Thank you. In a weekend interview, Vladimir Putin laughed at the suggestion that you had called him a killer. Is that
I talked about
still
the
your
International
belief
Press
that he is a
Corps, and he's
killer?
only taken
And I'll continue the trend if you
questions
don't
from
mind
Americans thus far.
that. Do you believe if he does agree to cooperate, then what kind of a challenge do you find yourself in? How would you ever trust him? And if Ronald Reagan said trust but verify, what do you say to Vladimir Putin?
To answer the first question, I'm laughing too. Well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is, I believe he has in the past essentially acknowledged that he was, there are certain things that he would do or did do. But look, when I was asked that question on air, I answered it honestly.
Man, I wish if Biden was going to be president, it had been 5 fucking years
I don't think
ago.
it matters a whole lot in terms of this next meeting we're about to have.
Because if you watch a video of him from 5 fucking years ago, it is night and fucking day. He has lost a step.
I'd verify first and then trust. In other words, everything would have to be shown to be actually occurring. It's not about, trusting. It's about agreeing. You know, when you write treaties with your adversaries, you don't say, I trust you. You say, this is what I expect. And if you violate the agreement you made,
And this is how we're going to verify it.
quote, the treaty's off, the agreement's off. And I'm hoping that that President Putin concludes that there is some interest in terms of his own interest in changing the perception that the world has of him in terms of whether or not he will engage in behavior that's more consistent with what is considered to be appropriate behavior for head of state. Ann Guerin, The Washington Post.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here at this meeting and earlier at the G7, you've said several times that America is back at allies' side. But a lot of those allies are themselves pretty rattled by what happened on January 6th, an attempted overturning of your election. And they may still be alarmed by the continued hold that Donald Trump has over the Republican Party and the rise of nationalist figures like him around the world. What do you say to those allies? What have you been saying to them?
The Greek party, the Golden Dawn party, that shit freaks me out. What's going on in Poland?
What I'm saying is to them is,
Adam
watch
guy.
me.
You talking about Rainstopper?
I mean, I'm not saying any of them, quite frankly. I'm just going out people, as I've said before,
I mean,
don't
technically,
doubt
I'm
what
a
I
criminal
mean
and
what
a
I say,
junkie, so,
and
and
they
kind of a
believe
jerk.
that I keep my
He sounds like my
commitments
kind of
when I
people.
say it. I'm not making any promises to anyone that I don't believe are overwhelmingly likely to be kept. I think that we're at a moment where, I mean, let me put it this way.
Welcome
You
to the
may have
family.
had a different view, but I think an awful lot of people thought that my showing
Look
up
at me.
at,
Do you think I dress this way sober?
not
What the
producing
fuck?
kind of enthusiasm about American leadership and about where America was.
Oh,
I would
okay.
suggest that it didn't turn out that way. I would suggest that there is a the leaders I'm dealing with in NATO and the G7.
Well, I have no power over the chat. My rules here are that I'll let the mods deal with it.
Know generically the character of the
Here,
American
Adam, let me go make you a sheriff.
and know where the vast center of the public stands.
You
Not
guys
Democrat, Republican, but who we are. We're decent, honorable.
have final say. I have
think
plausible
that they
deniability.
Seen things happen as we have that shocked them and surprised them that could have happened. But I think they, like I do, believe the American people are not going to sustain that kind of behavior. And so I don't want to get into these statistics because, that old phrase is Disraeli's. There's three kinds of lies, damn lies, and statistics. But I think it's appropriate to say that the Republican Party is vastly diminished in numbers. The leadership of the Republican Party is fractured. And the Trump wing of the party is the bulk of the party, but it makes up a significant minority of the American people.
No, that is very true. Thank you, Joe.
I believe that by us standing up and saying what we believe to be the case, not engaging in the
Editing podcasts for as long as I have has made me have this visceral
so
reaction to
many
lip
today
smacks.
that I guess
Oh
that old
God!
expression,
Ugh.
puddings and eating. When I said I was going to
Justin Muffins is my alt.
I was going to focus on that, and I was going to get millions of shots in people's arms. It wasn't me. I just knew the American people. I knew the kind of help I'd get from the Defense Department, from police departments, from the hospitals, from retired docs. From
You ain't gonna get no help from no fucking police department, dude. I don't know what the fuck you're talking
We
about.
have a group of people who were everything from
Smoking something stronger than I am.
rejection of the notion of taking a vaccine to people who are simply afraid of a needle and everything in between. And we have a way to go. But
I'm afraid of needles. It's the only reason why I'm not a heroin junkie, but I went and got my fucking
so
vaccine.
many millions of people.
You
step
can
up.
too. It actually didn't hurt at all.
So I think
The actual injection did not hurt.
shock and surprise.
It felt like my arm got hit by a softball a few hours later, though.
Consequence of President Trump's phony populism has happened. And it is disappointing that so many of my Republican colleagues in the Senate, who I know better, have been reluctant to take on, for example, an investigation because
Yes, it
there
received
would not
emergency
be a
approval.
primary. But at the end of the day, we've been
At
through
least
periods
two
like this in
companies
American history
are seeking
where there has been this reluctance to take a chance on a re-election.
nominal approval, whatever the fuck it's called.
Your party's politics at the moment. I think this is passing. I don't-
Whatever the normal procedure
That's
is,
why
they
it's
are
so important
seeking
that I
it.
succeed in my agenda. The agenda, whether it's dealing with the vaccine, the economy, infrastructure, it's important that we demonstrate we can make progress.
The video where I tried to stick a fork to my head got
I think we're
pulled
gonna
off of
be-
YouTube.
So,
Where are all the right wingers yelling cancel culture?
where it is,
But they won't do it. They won't do it because my video doesn't back up their narrative. They're never going to come to my side
that
and take up for me, but they expect me to take up for them.
a coalescing of a lot of Republicans, particularly younger Republicans who are coming up in the party. And last question, Sebastian Smith.
Last question? Well, you made them wait for 2 fucking hours. And you took, what, 4, 5 questions?
No, on getting into the NATO membership action plan. So, what's your answer? And, if I may, a second part to the same question. Well, now that Russia has invaded parts of Ukraine, does that effectively rule out Ukraine ever entering NATO, given that being in NATO would mean the US and NATO having to defend Ukrainians against Russia? Thank you.
The second question is, the answer is no. The first question, it depends on whether they meet.
It is late there.
The fact is they still have to clean up corruption. The fact is they have to meet other criteria.
And that was the issue with Russia annexing Crimea.
Schools out on that question. It remains
to try to stop the Ukraine from joining NATO.
All that we can to put Ukraine in the position to be able to continue to resist Russian physical aggression. And
I do not know. He's actually got friends that are Republicans, but like Mitch McConnell, if he's actually friends with Mitch McConnell,
the alliance and how they
like he's actually friendly with Mitch McConnell. He's been out to lunch with Mitch McConnell. That wouldn't surprise me.
And it's not easy. I made a speech years ago,
but to still have this public face
that Ukraine had an opportunity to do
that he's willing to work with him when McConnell keeps saying he will not work with him.
Democratically elected.
It's just asinine.
Not corrupt, led by oligarchies in any of the regions, nation. And I pointed out to them when I made that speech that they will go down in history as the founding fathers of Ukraine if in fact they do that. They have more to do. But that does not justify the fact they have more to do. Russia taking aggressive action either in the Donbass or on the sea or in any part of Ukraine. And we're going to put Ukraine in a position to be able to maintain their physical security. Thank you all so very much. Sorry you're all here so late. Thank you very much.
Bullshit. It was a letdown, Joe. He gave like fucking 10 minutes of prepared statements and took 4 or 5 questions. The press corps waited in that room longer than they actually spoke with Biden. And holy fuck, PBS keeps trying to fuck with us. So there you have it. That is the Joe Biden press conference from Brussels, Belgium. We will be back later on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to send you, if you're watching on Twitch right now, I'm going to send you over to Dan Simpson. He's fucking awesome. Looks like he's playing some music right now, which should really fucking rock. I will be back 8 p.m. Eastern, normal time, with the Troll Patrol live.